All right, well, I have right at 3 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started here. My name is Daniel Brookshire. I'm with the Institute for Emerging Issues, and I'm the Emerging Leaders Fellow here at IEI. Just to give you a few webinar instructions to get started, I've placed you all on mute to avoid any echoes on the call, and I'm going to take questions periodically throughout the presentation. I'll be checking the screen, and so please ask any questions you have using our chat feature. And please let me know if you can't hear me right now, or if you see the screen going and you're not hearing anything. Looks like a couple of people can hear us. Good. And again, if I don't get to your question during this webinar, just please send it to the chat or email me afterwards, and I'll be sure to answer it after this webinar. And if you can continue to experience any audio issues, please contact GoToWebinar. And everyone today will receive an email with a link to view a recording of this session. And we're also going to post a YouTube video of the webinar on our website. So if you know of people who are interested in the prize but cannot make it to today's webinar, be sure to direct them there. And we should have that up within a day or two after this. All right, so today's presentation, I want to give you a brief overview of the Institute for Emerging Issues, spend a little time on the history of the high school prize, and spend most of my time on the prize for this year, go over the application process, go over the selection and implementation process, and then leave a few minutes for questions at the end. So to get going, let me start off with what is the Institute for Emerging Issues. So if you've never worked with us before, the Institute for Emerging Issues was established in 2002 by former Governor Jim Hunt, who calls us a think and do tank. And we're based at North Carolina State University on the Centennial campus at the Hunt Library, which is a fairly new building if any of you have had a chance to visit. And our overarching goal is to ensure North Carolina's economic competitiveness. We are a nonpartisan public policy organization that exists to enhance North Carolina's long-term prosperity. IEI connects North Carolinians across sectors, regions, and perspectives for collaborative work on key emerging issues affecting our state's future economic competitiveness. And I guess our signature event is our annual Emerging Issues Forum, which is held typically in February each year, and it attracts leaders in business, education, and public policy to discuss an issue with profound implications for North Carolina's future prosperity. And for 3 decades, the Forum and IEI's related programmatic work have helped catalyze the policy reforms, public investments, and other proactive responses required to build an enduring capacity for progress in North Carolina. And we focus on 4 main issues here at the Institute: North Carolina's economy, education, health, and environment. And some of the subjects that we've covered in our past forums, last year's subject was the teachers and the great economic debate. We've done investing in Generation Z in the past, and also we had a forum focused on manufacturing. All right, does anyone have any questions about the Institute for Emerging Issues? Can you all hear me okay? I'm going to assume yes. All right. So to begin with, the High School Prize for Innovation. So the prize started in 2011 as a way to get young people involved with IEI's program of work. And it challenged high school students to work together to tackle North Carolina's biggest issues. And winning teams have gotten in the past and will continue to $5,000 to put their ideas into action. And like I mentioned before, it's tied to IEI's current program of work. And some of the success stories of past applications, some of our past winners have included SCORED, and last year's prize was from Havelock High School, and their project was called HELP, which stands for the Handy Educational Learning Program. And it's a tool that was meant to increase student engagement. And it allows students to alert the teacher when help is needed. So it's more of an app approach to the contest. And it's designed like a traffic stoplight, and it has functions that correspond to the colors of a stoplight. So it had a green button, a yellow button, and a red button to indicate to the teacher if a student is having trouble, or if they're understanding a subject while the teacher is lecturing. And this is a picture of some representatives from that team at last year's forum, meeting the governor, former Governor Hunt, and current Governor McCrory, along with NC State's chancellor and our director, Mrs. Anita Brown Graham. So enough about the history of IEI and the prize. And I'm going to focus most of my time here today on this year's prize topic. And before I do anything else, I want to make sure everyone can actually navigate to the application, because that's primarily what I'm going to be referencing during today's presentation. And so to get to the application, just go to our home page, and there's two ways to do that, either iei.ncsu.edu or emergingissues.org. So this is our home page. And then right now it's at the top of our screen. You can scroll to the high school prize. We have a college version too, so just make sure you're looking at the high school level. And I'm assuming most of you here today are familiar with this, but since you've obviously registered for the webinar and the links here, but I just want to make sure that once this recording is posted that people can navigate here as well. So here is the application. All right. So this year's forum, since the high school prize is tied to it, just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about that. We haven't publicly announced it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but the title is right now Innovation Reconstructed. And it's going to focus on how will our companies and communities compete in a future of accelerated everything. And it's also our 30th annual Emerging Issues Forum. So in the spirit of celebrating our past 30 years, this forum is going to kind of look back and look forward to North Carolina's future economy and innovations. And so the high school prize will specifically tie into this by asking how can North Carolina confront historic challenges while empowering its youth to handle the challenges of the future. And so specifically, the high school prize for this year is going to address the civic engagement side of high schoolers. So today's high school students represent the most technologically connected generation ever, but they really need to step up their civic engagement game. And to give you a few facts on that, North Carolina faces a civic engagement crisis. And according to the 2010 Civic Health Index, North Carolina ranks 42nd in the nation for volunteering, 44th for participation in non-electoral policy activity, and 39th for group affiliation and membership. Without reclaiming the ability to engage and collaborate, North Carolina is at great risk for failing to prepare our state and future generations for what's to come. That same study suggests that North Carolinians would engage if they simply knew about opportunities and were asked to act, which is exactly what we're hoping to do with this high school prize topic. So the challenge this year the overall topic itself challenges teams of high school students to reflect on the past in order to help improve a community's future. And teams will investigate the historical roots of a local challenge a community has wrestled with in one or more of the following areas: its economy, education, the natural and built environments, health, or civic health. And teams will then develop an innovative solution to the challenge and engage community members in tackling the issue. So again, this ties into IEI's 4 main issue areas and also allows for an opportunity to focus on a civic health type of project. So this year there's going to be 4 parts to any project that's submitted. So teams are going to be required to identify a local challenge the community has historically wrestled with. They're going to have to study the local history of the issue and prepare an overview of that history in their application. They're going to devise a potential solution to the challenge and then create a plan to engage the community with that proposed solution. And so that's the broad overview of the 4 components we're asking this year. And to kind of give you an example of what this might look like, your team's goal might be to connect students in your community to local career options, which would address our economic issue area. Or you could come up with a project to make your community more walkable or bike friendly, which would fall into our natural and built environments issue area. Or you could focus on ways to raise high school graduation rates in your community, which would tie into our education issue area. Or you could focus on ways to lower your community's childhood obesity rate. And so again, these are just a few examples, and we definitely don't want a ton of submissions only addressing these 4 types of projects, but I just want to give you an idea, since this project is, or this year's topic is so broad, to help you understand a little bit more of what we're looking for. And so in addition to addressing those 4 main things I talked about, this is the full list of application requirements. So we're going to require a roster of team members, mentor information, a project abstract, a proposal narrative, a budget and a budget commentary for if you're awarded the $5,000 grand prize, and a statement of participation from the team mentor. And that will also allow for submissions of additional supporting documents, but these aren't required, and that could include design sketches or pictures or things like that. So any questions on those pieces right now? I'm going to go into each of those in a little more detail, but I just want to check in with everyone real quick. Make sure I can see. Okay, well, let me go in bullet by bullet here just to start off with. So for the roster of team members, each team member, we need their name, address, email, and phone number, and their grade level and the name of their high school, and also a project role for each team member. And primarily we're interested in having a team captain designated to serve as the primary contact and someone that we can reach. And all team members must have a role, so other roles can be determined by the team. It could be the graphic designer, the IT person, or however they want to break it down. And then, like in years past, we were requiring a mentor to oversee the team. So each team must identify a mentor who may be a teacher, principal, guidance counselor, coach, etc. So in addition to serving as a general project advisor, the mentor is responsible for tracking, overseeing, and reporting of all prize monies after disbursement. And this will be sent as a check to the team's high school. And so mentors must be eligible to administer the prize monies via the high school, and the mentor will help students understand and comply with the school system's rules and processes governing the expenditure of grant funds. So that's the team member roster and information about the mentor. And then next, this is also in the order that we wish you to submit the documents. So then you'll have a project abstract, which will be about 250 to 300 words, and it will provide an overview of the challenge to be addressed, the nature of your project, the proposed solution, and highlight any team strengths that may be particularly interesting to judges. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the proposal narrative in the next slide. So I'm going to go right into the budget and budget commentary real quick. And the budget commentary is not, not too detailed, or it doesn't have to be. We just need a pretty descriptive but comprehensive budget that for if you were awarded the $5,000 grand prize, what overall would you spend it on? So in this budget, please include estimates for proposed expenses, but again, this is for the implementation of the project that you're submitting to us. So I mentioned a mentor earlier, and we also need a separate written statement, for example, a brief letter from the mentor that verifies their willingness to participate and the acknowledgement of the duties of the role, just to confirm that they're invested in the team and that they won't go MIA after if a team wins. And lastly, again, like I mentioned before, additional supporting documents, and those are not required, but please attach them as numbered appendices and insert a table of contents at the beginning if you do include additional supporting documents. Okay. So now I want to spend a little more time on what the proposal narrative, because this is really the heart of the application. So the proposal narrative this year is going to focus on the 4 following issues of the projects. So the research into the challenge, a proposal to address the community challenge, a plan for community engagement, and a description of the likelihood of success for this project. In this overall proposal narrative should not be longer than 2,500 words, excluding charts and graphics. So let me just go into each of these 4 issue areas real quick, what we'll be looking for and what we're hoping teams will answer as they work on this proposal narrative. So under research of challenge, specifically we want to address what is the challenge your community has historically wrestled with, why is this challenge important and what has made it so difficult to resolve, what specific groups, neighborhoods, organizations, and individuals have been impacted by this challenge and how has this challenge evolved over time. Under proposal to address the challenge, we want you to answer how exactly will your project address the challenge, what is the purpose, and what are the goals of your proposed project, how is your approach different from other attempts to address the challenge. And under community engagement, we want you to answer which community members will your team engage in a discussion about the challenge to the community and the proposed solution. So specifically different individuals or community groups that you'll engage. How will you encourage the participation of individuals and groups that, though not themselves directly impacted by this challenge, are still needed to address the challenge successfully? So how will you get those who may not be currently involved interested in assisting with solving this challenge? And lastly, you will address the likelihood of success. So how does the solution deal with possible barriers to implementation? What is the project timeline? And what are the benchmarks for implementation? How will you track and measure your project success? And what metrics will be used to measure impact? So it could be the amount of people you interact with, or if you're, what level of how do you want to impact the rate of childhood obesity in your community? We're looking for numbers and metrics that we can go back and see if the implementation of your project has had an impact. So. All right. So any questions on the proposal narrative? And again, I'll leave some time at the end if you don't have any right at the moment. All right. Well, keep moving along then. So for submitting your application, the due date is November 10th by midnight, especially with high schoolers. We want to clarify that. And so please submit the application as a single comprehensive PDF file. I need to stress the importance of this. It really helps on our end to process these applications and get them to our judges in a way that they can mark them up with their comments. And so a single PDF file, and that should be emailed to emergingissues@ncsu.edu. And we strongly prefer an electronic submission, so an email, but if absolutely necessary, you can also mail it to us as long as it's postmarked by November 10th, and our address is listed there. And a little bit more about the PDF. I know not everyone might have Adobe Acrobat, but there's also some other websites out there that will do it for you for free. And if anyone needs help with that, feel free to contact me. But again, I just want to make sure that requirement is clear. I want to go next into some of the evaluation criteria we're going to be instructing our judges and our internal staff to look for as they review your applications. So first, they're going to keep in mind, is the application persuasive, well organized and professional? What is the quality of the team's community research into the identified challenge, and how detailed is the team's sketch of related history? Does the team identify an innovative approach to the identified challenge? Has the team based its proposed solution on reasonable assumptions and credible data? Does the team have relevant experience, time management abilities, and organizational skills? Will the proposed solution have a significant and lasting impact on the challenge it seeks to address? Does the community engagement plan fit well with the identified challenge and proposed solution? And is the engagement plan inclusive and appropriate for reaching the intended audience? And again, so this will be used by internal staff to pick a list of that will go on to our external judges. So these are also things to keep in mind while you're working on your project. And I'm just reading a question here, and I'm from Chris, and I'm going to hold off on that one till the end, but I'll get to that during the question period. All right, so let me give you some dates and deadlines. So the selection process, again, begins with the application deadline, which is November 10th. And so after applications are submitted, we'll have an IEI internal staff team that will review applications and select a pool of semifinalists. And then we'll pass that group onto a panel of external judges. And in the past, they've been members of IEI's board, the design school here at NC State, and other individuals that are associated with IEI. And they will narrow it down to up to 5 finalists who will then be awarded a $1,000 prize and go on to compete in the public's voting competition side of this competition. And so on December 8th, we'll announce that group of finalists. And so in addition to this, the $1,000 award, they'll also receive up to 5 free tickets to attend the Emerging Issues Forum here in Raleigh, February 9th through 10th. The prize money will be distributed via check, again, to the finalist team's high school. And the finalists will use the $1,000 prize to develop a video that they will as their entry into the online public voting competition. And they can also use the funds to defray expenses related to attending the forum, which is where the grand prize winner will be announced. So again, the video creation part is only going to apply to the finalists. So you don't have to create a video beforehand. And the video is going to be short, so about a 2 to 3 brief video that will describe the challenge that is being addressed, the proposed solution, and the plan for community engagement. And they must be imported onto IEI's YouTube channel by Wednesday, January 28th. And we'll use these, in addition to the project abstracts, to post to our website for the public voting competition. And that's going to take place between February 2nd through 9th. So right before our forum, and it'll end on the first day of the forum. And this, in years past, and the same for this year, it'll be done using a controlled voting method, so 1 vote per person on IEI's website. And so finalists will be encouraged to promote their candidacies and seek support from friends, family, and others. And this public voting process is what will select the grand prize winner from that group of 5. And we'll announce that winner at the Emerging Issues Forum, probably on day 2 of the Emerging Issues Forum, so on February 10th. And so after the Emerging Issues Forum, teams will be able to start implementation as soon as they receive their award. And that, again, will go to the team's high school and will be administered by the mentor. And the grand prize winning team is required to submit 3 quarterly reports and a final grant report in the year following the award. So yeah, this just kind of gives you a summary of what we're requiring from finalist teams. So is that clear? There's 2 parts to it. So the side of things that everyone goes through, and then the side that the finalist will go through, which includes the video and the coming to the Emerging Issues Forum. All right. And I've covered most of this on this slide. And we're requiring at least 1 member of the finalist teams to attend the forum. And we'll announce the grand prize winner in person at the forum, and the whole forum is actually going to be broadcast on our live stream on our website too. So. All right, now to talk a little bit more about the implementation. So, as I mentioned before, grand prize teams will receive $5,000 to put their idea into action, and shortly after the financial award, we'll send a letter with the formal terms of the prize, tax information, W-9, and work with the mentor or the school's administrator to make sure those funds are transferred. And we'll also highlight the team's progress throughout after the year in which they implement the project at the 2016 Emerging Issues Forum. All right, so now I'll open it up to some questions, and I want to start off with the question that Chris asked, and let me read that out in case you can't see it. So, is the goal of the community to be geographic or community to be broadly defined from a town or county to an African American community, prisoners, etc.? That's a good question. I think at the heart of what we framed this competition as, we're thinking it's a geographic community, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the team's home geographic community as long as it's a community within North Carolina. But ideally, it would be probably just for the ease of the whole project to be the team's local community. But yes, it should be geographic. Does anyone else have any additional questions? Chris just asked, is there a suggested team size, 5 students or not? No, there's no ideal size. It just, the minimum is 2. So as long as there's 2 students. And in years past, we've had, a whole class apply together, some teams of 5, 10. It's really up to the students. Okay, are there any questions on the topic? I hope it's clear this year. We've tried to tie it, make it a little more broad, while also tying it to our being at our 30th year. Okay. Well, I will stay here for a few more minutes, but if there are no other questions, that is all I had for going over the prize. But feel free to email me, call me. My contact information's here. And yeah, November 10th is the deadline, so please encourage your students to apply and pass this along to anyone you know that couldn't make it to the webinar today. And I hope this was useful. Thank you for your time.